And people are quite surprised by how much PEMF is used in livestock. So I see images of this and, you think like, you just assume PEMF is going to be used on horses or, pets. But why are people using like MagnaWave on pigs, cows, sheep, bulls, and like other livestock animals?
I want to say that, we got FDA clearance this year or in December of 2025. And you would think that the human market would be my fastest growing market for Orwell. Mm-hmm. By far, livestock and show stock has outpaced anything that I ever imagined. So for pigs, well, first of all, in the United States, you have to understand that we have this incredible thing called 4-H, show stock. We have show animals. So these are, sometimes it's children, sometimes it's adults. These animals are bred and, they do very like a dog show, but for pigs and llamas and cows, and it's extremely competitive. There's some very big cash prizes. And it is, the way that the animal walks is taken into account, like the movement of the gait, the shininess of the fur, the way they move their bodies. So all of these things can be affected by travel, by pain, by inflammation. So what we found, about, 10 years ago is when I really had my first phone call. A guy called me, was like, I have never placed in a pig competition ever, swine. And, I won, this $150,000 prize. And the only thing I did was MagnaWave before. And he was like, this is incredible. I want 4 of them, like he was just blown away. So we realized very quickly that we could help the gait, be more smooth in the pigs. And that is a very high point value, part of these shows. Same with cows, but incredibly, our biggest, growing industry right now is dairy. So, I noticed when I was breastfeeding that mastitis is something that happens, right? It's an infection, within the breast that is very painful and causes, you can't breastfeed. It's horrible. So I was prescribed some antibiotics. And of course I didn't really want to do that. So I used the MagnaWave, which is an animal device, on myself, and it cleared up my mastitis in an hour. Like, it was unbelievable, right? Like, I went from being severe pain to thinking I had to take medication for 2 weeks and not be able to breastfeed out of that breast to functioning, feeling better, feeling it pass out of my body. And I thought, if this works for me, how would it work on dairy cows? Mm-hmm. So I sent a machine up and did just a preliminary study with a guy who's in Indiana, and his results were incredible. And, so the last 4 years, we have been, doing research at different universities on not only the dairy, like, can we keep mastitis away? Yes. Can we, if it's already in the animal, can we lower it? Yes. In 1 7-minute session, can negate the need for antibiotics? Yes. We're seeing that as well. And then we're also seeing that it has zero effect on the milk, which we also have done that entire study to show that the milk is just as good when they're using PEMF. Because a lot of dairy farmers, the proteins, the mastitis shows up, they have to dump that milk. They can't use it. It's very painful for the cow, and there's antibiotics that have to be given. So, the dairy industry is something that this could be a really big change, specifically in Europe, where antibiotics are not as accepted, where the food industry is much more heavily regulated. In the United States, we say we care, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. Do we? It's up for grabs. But, sometimes the easier thing is just to give a shot, where in Europe, I've seen that the dairy industry as a whole is just more receptive to outside options that don't require them to jump through those hoops with medications. And, I think that is the frontier for MagnaWave, is moving into animals as food.
That was a really good education for me, actually, because it's just interesting to see how it's used on livestock. But even down to keeping the businesses.
On our website, if you want to read them, we have them on there. I'd be happy to send them to you, but it's extremely interesting how we are able to work with that. I mean, it really blew my mind, and it increases milk supply. I mean, who doesn't want more milk from their dairy cow?
Exactly. So the investment of advice can ultimately save and make the money longer term. So it makes sense.
Yeah.